An incomprehensible reality can often give birth to denial, and in that moment, the demon lord could no longer see the truth clearly. After being struck down by one of the heroes, he begins questioning why the black flames he took such pride in failed to harm them. He wonders how the hero's blade managed to break through his scales, something he had always believed impossible. The demon lord cannot understand it at all. He had always been superior to everyone else. He entered the Demon King Military Academy as the top student and graduated at the top of his class. The Demon King standards, a theory established by the first Demon King Emperor who laid the foundation of the demon realm, were something he had studied and followed more diligently than anyone. As written in these standards, he built a tower, kidnapped princesses, and allowed the heroes who came to rescue them to grow stronger. To a demon king, the emotions of anger and sadness were said to be the greatest source of power, but eliminating heroes too early was considered wasteful. That is why the Demon King's standards instruct demons to show sincerity by helping heroes grow before defeating them, as their strength increases the value of the final confrontation. The Demon Lord, Burge, followed these standards more faithfully than anyone. Completely conquering the world had only been a matter of time, as he absorbed the sorrow and rage of heroes and countless civilians. Because of this, he believed he had become the strongest of all demon kings. Yet now he wondered why he was the one who would fall in the end. Lost in thought, the demon lord glares at the hero whose strike has overwhelmed him, demanding to know how such a thing was possible. The black-haired hero smirks and says that all demon kings ask the same question. His words shock the demon lord. The hero adds that demon kings bring these situations upon themselves, and questions why they always seem so surprised when things don't go their way. The demon lord calls this nonsense, but the black-haired hero laughs, saying that demon lords always kidnap the most famous princesses and leave heroes countless clues, practically inviting them to come stop them. The hero grabs the demon lord by the hair and bluntly asks if he's being foolish. He remarks that if he were in the demon lord's position, he would have removed the king first, which would have plunged the kingdom into chaos. Hearing this, the demon lord thinks for a moment. He realizes that if he had targeted the king, it would have caused internal conflict among humans vying for the throne, but their anger wouldn't have been directed at him. That would slow his growth as a demon lord, something that went against the standards he so faithfully followed. The black-haired hero continues, explaining that if the heroes don't come to the tower, the demon lord in charge often sends monsters to nearby villages to push them into training. He admits he's grateful for that, but coming directly to the tower is far easier. The first floor is full of low-level monsters, allowing everyone to train, grow, and develop new skills safely. Hearing this, the demon lord reflects that heroes must not be defeated too soon. To gather more energy, he always acted cautiously because that was what the Demon King's standards taught him. The black-haired hero then withdraws his blade, causing the demon lord to collapse helplessly. The hero laughs loudly, saying that when the tower becomes boring, all they need to do is defeat the current Demon King, and a new one will eventually rise, creating a perfect training ground for heroes once again. He then asks the other heroes for their thoughts, and they all cheer in agreement, saying that thanks to the Demon Lord, they were able to grow stronger. They even call him the best Demon King ever, more like a mentor than an enemy. A red-haired hero shouts that this tower was excellent and thanks the Demon Lord for all his efforts. All the heroes shout together, thanking the Demon Lord for giving them the best hunting ground they could ever ask for. The Demon Lord is stunned when the heroes refer to him as their godfather and describe his tower as nothing more than a training ground for them. The black-haired hero then raises his sword to strike, commenting that the Demon Lord was actually quite strong this time, since many heroes struggled during their battles. Still, the black-haired hero believes it was worth it, as he gained a great deal of recognition because of the challenges he faced. With a confident smile, the black-haired hero charges toward the Demon Lord and bids him farewell. This fills the Demon Lord with deep anger as he struggles to stand, unable to believe a hero would dare look down on him like this. He never imagined they would humiliate him so completely. Everything happening now makes him question whether the Demon King's standard rules were nothing but useless guidelines. The Demon Lord refuses to accept an end like this, not after everything he has achieved as a Demon King. But before he can react, the black-haired hero delivers a decisive strike that sends the demon lord collapsing, his strength fading. With his final breath, the demon lord vows that those who underestimated him will face consequences. The black-haired hero smiles and orders the others not to touch the demon lord's remains, saying he intends to keep the demon horns as a trophy. The moment he says this, the demon lord's body begins to glow intensely, startling the black-haired hero. The demon lord continues speaking, saying that he will make them all pay, even if he must use the last of his remaining power. Realizing what is about to happen, the black-haired hero shouts for everyone to run. But before they can even move, a massive burst of energy erupts from the demon lord's body, consuming the heroes in its blast. In these final moments, the demon lord realizes that the standards he followed were flawed. If only he had known the heroes looked down on demon lords because of those very rules, he would never have followed them. As he disappears along with the heroes, he thinks that if he ever gets another chance, he will abandon the standards entirely and choose his own path, even if that means unleashing orcs instead. The tower explodes in an instant later, and the demon lord suddenly hears someone calling his name, Burge Diaz. Shocked, he opens his eyes and finds himself standing upright, completely confused. Burge looks around, trying to understand what is happening and how he is still alive. Another demon calls out to him to come forward quickly. Recognizing that the name is his own, he follows the professor's instructions and steps onto the stage, still in disbelief. Burge then realizes where he is. The director notices Burge zoning out and calls his name, snapping him back to reality. The director asks why a brilliant student like him is acting this way on his graduation day. Looking down, Burge notices the uniform he is wearing and the red badge pinned to it. He recognizes it immediately as the symbol given to graduates of the Demon King Military Academy. In that moment, Burge realizes he has somehow returned to the graduation ceremony from 15 years ago. The professor continues instructing the other students to gather near the stage. Burge does not know how or why he has returned to the past, but he sees it as his final chance. The professor announces that the graduating students, soon to become Demon Kings, will now recite their pledge. He instructs Burge to read it as the representative of his class. The Demon King's standards appear before Burge for him to read. He stands silently, glaring at the text, remembering how many times he has studied and memorized these rules. He followed them faithfully, yet they did nothing but lead him to ruin. Burge wonders if these demons truly expect him to recite these standards again, the same rules he once swore to follow for life, only to discover they were nothing but harmful teachings. The thought alone fills him with anger. The professor notices Burge's change in expression and again orders him to read the great Demon King's standards. Burge clenches his teeth, refusing. Everyone is stunned when he loudly declares that he cannot pledge himself to something so unbelievably foolish. He calls the standards meaningless and insists they are nothing but useless rules. The students stare at him in shock. Even the professor is taken aback, completely unprepared for such defiance. And this is the moment when Burge, once the Academy's most outstanding student, falls to the very bottom in a single instant. Archduke of the Demon Realm, Arcane Blarumph, slams his foot onto the table in fury as he calls out Burge's name. He informs Burge that he could be severely punished for daring to insult the Demon King's standards. However, considering Burge's previously exemplary conduct and exceptional talent, they have decided to give him one final chance. Arcane demands that Burge withdraw his reckless statement immediately and apologize to the entire Demon Realm. But if Burge refuses, his assigned deployment will be Aryan. The moment Arcane mentions this deployment, all the demons begin whispering anxiously. Aryan is known as the dimension where Demon Kings fall by the dozens, essentially a death sentence. Some demons question why the Bureau is giving Burge another chance at all, believing that someone who boldly insulted the Demon King's standards deserves severe punishment. Arcane continues, reminding Burge that he should know exactly what Aryan is, the most dangerous domain, where countless Demon Kings have met their end. As Arcane goes on, Burge abruptly interrupts, telling him to send him there. Burge declares that he will go to Aryan and prove that the Demon King's standards are nothing but meaningless rules. Everyone is shocked that Burge still refuses to apologize. Arcane deems Burge completely hopeless. He announces that Burge's deployment to Arian will begin immediately. Furthermore, Burge will receive none of the privileges granted to a top demon king, and no demons will accompany him. They force him toward the portal, and Arcane orders that until Burge successfully completes his occupation mission, he is forbidden from returning to the demon realm. While falling toward Arian, Burge thinks that this outcome is expected after causing such disruption, but he is still shocked to be sent back to that place, the place where the heroes who defeated him reside. Even before his regression, Burge had personally chosen Arian because he believed the strongest should take on the most difficult challenges. But that arrogance cost him his life, especially when far too many heroes exploited the Demon King's standards. After descending for a while, Burge spreads his wings and lands safely on a mountain cliff, arriving in the northern continent's Urgest Mountains. Upon landing, Burge vows that he will not repeat the same mistake twice. This time, he will be the one to take advantage of the hero's standards. The scene then shifts to Gordon Dyrek, the chief demon officer. He prepares to attend the graduation ceremony. If the Demon Academy trains demon kings, it also trains the demons who serve under them. According to demon realm regulations, the top demon must serve the top demon king. During the ceremony, the top 3 demons stand beside one another. The Demon Academy graduate who ranked second remarks that Gordon is incredibly lucky, as he will graduate as the top demon and serve the top demon king, Burge. Gordon smiles at the compliment, while the graduate who ranked third clicks his tongue, saying that if he had worked just a bit harder, he would have been the one serving Burge instead. Gordon replies that all demon kings are great, but privately, he smirks, thinking that none compare to Burge. Burge is of demonic dragon lineage, a prodigy born once in a millennium, destined to be remembered in demon realm history. Graduating in the same year as him is an enormous blessing. Gordon believes that with Lord Burge, they can conquer any dimension. He envisions statues dedicated to the great demon king and his loyal lieutenant, their names engraved forever in the pages of history. But all of Gordon's dreams shatter the moment he hears Burge refusing to accept the Demon King's standards. Gordon is completely shocked. Now, he finds himself accompanying Lord Burge to the deep regions of the northern continent's Urgest Mountains. Seeing his future crumble before his eyes, Gordon drops his bags to the ground, overwhelmed and questioning why Burge would do something so reckless. Burge notices him and walks over, commenting that although they said no demon would accompany him, they still sent someone after all. Gordon turns around in shock as Lord Burge extends his hand, politely greeting him. Ignoring the gesture, Gordon demands to know why Burge would do such a thing. Confused, Burge asks what Gordon is referring to. Gordon shouts that he is talking about the standards and asks how Burge could say something like that in front of everyone. Because of this, Burge was sent to Arian, and now Gordon fears he will lose his life as well. Noticing Gordon's unusual behavior, Burge wonders whether Gordon was always like this. Before Burge's regression, Gordon had been confident and composed. When Burge originally selected Arian as his deployment, Gordon had been motivated, insisting that although it would be difficult, together they could overcome any challenge. He even said that if it weren't Arian, he wouldn't feel motivated at all. But now, Gordon's terrified reaction is understandable. The situation is drastically different, and Burge knows that if he reveals his regression, Gordon would think he has lost his mind. Overwhelmed by everything, Gordon feels exhausted simply imagining what lies ahead. After some time, Gordon regains his composure. Wearing a strained expression, he apologizes to Burge for his earlier outburst, saying that since things have come this far, he will fulfill his duty. The first rule of the Demon King's standard states that a Demon King must build a tower. However, the tower cannot be hidden or placed in an extremely harsh environment, because heroes must be able to locate it. Inspecting the area, Gordon informs Burge that this place is far too dangerous. It is surrounded by massive mountains, making it difficult for humans to discover or approach, and powerful monsters roam the region. Therefore, Gordon advises that they should not build a tower here and should move to a safer location. But he is stunned when Burge decides to build the tower right there. Burge plants the tower seed in the ground, feeds it Demon King mana, allowing it to grow. Shocked, Gordon shouts that Burge is going directly against the Demon King's standards. Burge calmly replies that he never pledged to follow those outdated rules. Gordon then asks whether Burge is abandoning the pride of a demon king. Burge understands Gordon's frustration. As demons, their beliefs are deeply ingrained, so deeply that they cannot reject them unless they experience something extreme. Burge himself once believed the demon king's standards were absolute. He stands up to feed more of his mana into the seed, and tells Gordon to listen carefully. The demon king's standards are meaningless, especially in the Aryan deployment. As the seed absorbs the mana, a large magic circle forms, initiating the tower's creation. Burge smiles, explaining that Aryan is overflowing with heroes, far too many. The system panel appears, identifying the user and recognizing Burge's race as the Black Flame Demonic Dragon Tribe. Once identification is complete, the tower begins its full summoning. Burge continues explaining that because of the overwhelming number of heroes in Aryan, demon kings kept falling one after another. Humans eventually discovered the tower's mechanisms and used the demon king's standards against the demon kings. In this land, the standards no longer work. In fact, Burge tells Gordon that they should be called the heroes' standards instead. Gordon, stunned, asks what that even means. Meanwhile, the tower finishes installing, and Burge walks toward it. Gordon observes its immense height, realizing Burge truly summoned the tower here. Entering the gate, Burge orders Gordon to follow, and Gordon quietly walks behind him. After reaching the first floor of Burge's tower, Gordon notices something unusual. A normal tower should have a complex structure or be filled with monsters, yet this one is empty. It has no perks at all, perfectly matching the situation of a demon king with no privileges. They continue upward until they reach the 5th floor, the demon king's chamber, and Gordon realizes every floor they passed was completely bare. Now that the tower is built, Gordon believes they must at least follow standard rule number 2. The second rule states that the demon king must capture a prince or princess, preferably one close to the throne, because they possess strong demonic energy. Standing before Burge, Gordon suggests following this rule, and Burge agrees to hear him out. Gordon explains that the kingdom closest to the Urgest Mountains is the kingdom of Crozon, so Burge should capture the princess with the highest succession rank and use the emotional energy of the kingdom to grow stronger. Gordon adds that he knows Burge will likely refuse, but Burge interrupts and says that they will do exactly that. Gordon is surprised, and Burge continues, saying there is already a princess he has his eye on, and he intends to bring her here. Gordon stammers, offering to assist with the mission, but Burge declines, saying Gordon must guard the tower because the Demon King's residence cannot be left unattended. Gordon feels relieved, complimenting Burge for acting like a true top-ranked Demon King. He convinces himself that Burge was simply stressed during graduation and that things are still manageable. To Gordon, this marks the true beginning of their mission. As Burge prepares to fly out the window, Gordon asks how he plans to bring the princess. Burge replies that he is going to take one from the country farthest from the tower, the southernmost nation on the continent, the kingdom of Hilderin. Night falls, and the scene shifts to Hilderin. There, Burge watches a princess sitting on her bed and gazes at her through the window. She is the one with the least presence, the 13th princess. In a low, confident voice, Burge tells the princess that he has come for her. Gordon is shocked because this plan goes completely against the traditional standards. Curiously looking at Burge, the princess asks who he is, so he introduces himself as the Demon King who has come to take her away. The princess smiles when she hears that and asks if he is sure he can handle her. Burge becomes confused because he finds her question strange, wondering if she thinks Demon Kings are some sort of joke. He responds confidently, telling the princess that of course he can handle her because he is the Demon King. Hearing his reply, in that case, she will allow him to take her. Burge is bewildered by her reaction and comments that she seems strangely calm. He then asks what she is planning. The princess answers that she always thought something like this might happen one day since she was born a princess. Burge replies by asking if she is trying to make him lower his guard, and he suggests she give up because he will not fall for any tricks. He adds that he is also desperate, so he won't let her deceive him. The princess simply smiles and says she is not plotting anything because there is no possible way she could prepare a trap while somehow knowing that a Demon King would appear today. Her comment makes Burge pause, realizing she has a point, though he still can't shake off an inexplicable sense of discomfort. The princess then stands, reaches out her hand toward Burge, and asks whether they should leave. Burge agrees and brings her back to his tower in the Urgest Mountains. After taking her inside, Gordon welcomes him. Burge sets her down and instructs Gordon to let her stay in a corner of the 4th floor. Gordon is stunned and asks why she shouldn't be placed in a proper holding area. Burge refuses, explaining that since she cooperated without resisting, he intends to treat her with a certain level of leniency. Gordon acknowledges this and then tells Burge that he has something important to report. Confused, Burge turns around, while Gordon escorts the princess to the 4th floor. Sitting on the bare ground, the princess notices how cold and hard it is. She realizes that she truly has been taken from her kingdom, and there is nothing here. No pillows, no blankets, no attendants, and no elegant scenery. It is nothing like the palace she grew up in, yet for some reason, she feels that it might not be entirely unpleasant. The scene shifts to Burge seated on his throne while Gordon informs him that an invitation has arrived from the Tower of Beasts. Gordon explains that it is supposed to be a welcome gathering for Burge as the new Demon King. Burge sighs, saying he doubts it is a genuine welcome and believes it is more likely an attempt to test him and assert dominance. Demon Kings tend to be far too prideful to cooperate with others, but Arian's unusual situation forced many of them to put aside their pride and work together. Burge had dismissed them before, thinking they were lacking conviction, but this time he decides he should at least attempt some simple interaction. With that, Burge decides to visit and soon arrives at the Tower of Beasts. There, the Demon King of that tower introduces himself as Draxon, ruler of the Beast domain for more than 70 years. Sitting confidently before Burge, Draxon asks if he is the new Demon King and comments that he heard Burge disrespected the traditional methods, yet finds him unimpressive. Burge responds by asking whether Draxon is trying to provoke him, then tells him to state his business, already regretting his decision to come. Draxon smirks and informs him that Archduke Arcane instructed him to keep an eye on Burge when he arrived. Burge asks if Draxon is referring to that loud, old vampire, wondering if sending him to Arian wasn't enough to amuse him. Hearing this, Draxon is surprised that Burge dares to address an archduke in such a casual manner, commenting that Burge certainly has nerve. Draxon then tosses a piece of meat he had been eating onto the ground before Burge and commands him to lower himself and acknowledge it. If he does so, Draxon claims he will overlook Burge's so-called disrespect. Hearing those words, Burge asks whether Draxon truly doesn't understand why he is here. Draxon calls him foolish and says he knows exactly why, because Burge rejected the old traditions followed by Demon Kings. Burge continues, explaining that according to traditional doctrine, Demon Kings are forbidden from harming one another. After saying this, releasing a chilling aura as he asks whether Draxon truly believes he would blindly follow such a rule. Burge's piercing glare terrifies Draxon, who begins sweating as he feels the overwhelming pressure. Panicking, Draxon explains that Archduke Arcane instructed him to confirm whether Burge had properly taken a princess. If Burge fails to report within a month, he will lose his authority. While Draxon is still talking, Burge begins walking away, saying he was curious about what Draxon intended to say. He informs him that he has already taken a princess, though she may not be what the orthodox standards would expect. Afterward, Burge and Gordon return to their tower. Standing beside Burge's throne, Gordon praises him for displaying the true dignity of a demon king. Burge responds modestly, saying it was nothing exceptional. For now, he is confident Draxon will not attempt anything further, but they must remain alert for any unexpected developments. Burge then instructs Gordon to check on the princess, explaining that he needs to learn how to make proper use of her presence in the tower. Gordon accepts the order and leaves. Sitting on his throne, Burge reflects that if this is how the other demon kings behave, things may become increasingly troublesome. The consequences of rejecting the traditional ways are far greater than he anticipated. Still, even if given another chance, he would make the same choice. Burge rises to his feet, thinking that he would rather face danger than submit to those outdated standards. He opens his system panel, determined not to repeat past mistakes and intent on rebuilding his foundation from the beginning. Since the princess he took is considered low-ranking, he expects only a few hundred demonic energy points. Yet when he checks, he is shocked to see 13,000 points. Burge wonders why he has received such an unexpectedly high amount. At that moment, he receives a notification. Draxen has sent him a recorded message from the Tower of Beasts. Burge opens it and sees Draxen congratulating him, acknowledging that their first meeting was not ideal, but saying that as Burge Sr., he should at least extend some courtesy. Achieving anything significant in Eren is difficult, and Draxen admits he is genuinely impressed. He then asks Burge if his rejection of tradition was merely a disguise. Watching this, Burge is stunned by what Draxen seems to be implying. Suddenly, Gordon rushes in, shouting that there is a problem on the 4th floor. The scene shifts to the 4th floor, which has completely transformed into lush green terrain. Burge is shocked to see that the tower's status indicates that naturalization is in progress. There he finds the princess sitting peacefully among adorable small creatures, astonishing him even further. She has somehow created an entire ecosystem inside a magic tower, something only possible for someone with mastery over the 4 elemental forces. Burge tells her that he specifically went to the 13th princess's residence. Realizing that only one person on the continent could manage such a feat, he concludes that the girl before him cannot be the 13th princess. The princess smiles and says it is only natural that Burge mistook her for Elena, the 13th princess. As Burge begins sweating and tries to ask for clarification, she interrupts and reveals her true identity, Ernan Hildurin, the first princess of the Hildurin kingdom. The scene then shifts to the Hildurin royal castle, where chaos erupts upon learning that the first princess has been taken by the Demon King. The king, overwhelmed with anger, demands to know who dared to take his beloved daughter, Ernan. He immediately orders the strongest heroes and the entire kingdom's military to mobilize at once, commanding them to confront the Demon King and retrieve Princess Ernan safely. Ernan smiles brightly, saying that this is exactly why she asked whether Burge could handle her. With a shocked expression, Burge tells her that he had heard rumors about a genius elemental mage overflowing with mana, yet he never sensed that power from her. He then asks how she managed to fool him. Ernan reveals a ring and explains that it allows her to hide her mana. The ring is a treasured heirloom passed down through the royal family. She then asks whether that answers his question and whether he intends to send her back now. Burge looks at her silently, realizing that he will be mocked if he returns the princess. No kingdom would fear a coward, and it would only make it harder for him to gather demonic energy. That is why his only option is to stay with Ernan through this situation. Suddenly, Burge receives a notification showing that a wave of rage is being directed toward him, and his demonic energy points rise to more than 19,000. Seeing this, he assumes that the kingdom has probably figured out who abducted the princess. Burge tells Ernan that nothing changes. Whether she is the 13th princess or not, she remains his hostage. The scene then shifts to the kingdom of Hildurin. In the throne room, the king is filled with anger and orders his followers to defeat the demon lord responsible and bring back Princess Ernan. Everyone is too scared to speak, but a black-haired butler gathers the courage to inform the king that they still do not know which demon lord is behind this, and a patrol has been sent out, so it will take time to confirm. This only makes the king angrier, and he shouts that they must hurry and figure it out immediately. He yells that Princess Ernan has been taken, yet everyone is just standing around. Another advisor standing to the king's side comments that something feels off. The king, still furious, asks what he means. The advisor explains that the Demon King recently took a prince from another nation, causing widespread outrage, and was eventually defeated by heroes. With such a recent example, it is strange that another demon lord would immediately target the Hildurin princess. His reasoning makes sense to everyone present, and the king becomes even more frustrated, concluding that it must be the newly appointed demon lord. During the meeting, a soldier rushes in and reports that they have found traces of teleportation magic leading north, with the destination likely being the Urgist Mountains. Hearing this, the king is extremely shocked. Meanwhile, in Burge's tower, Burge sits on his throne as Gordon informs him that the Hildurin army will arrive soon. Gordon believes that the army might be too much for Burge to handle. Burge simply smiles and says it will be fine, because the kingdom of Hildurin will not be able to reach him. He explains that the Urgist Mountains are located at the extreme northern edge of the continent, while Hildurin is far to the south. There is no way that all the nations in between will allow the kingdom's army to march through their territory. They will be forced to rely on the hero guild instead. As expected, things unfold exactly as Burge predicted. After considering all possible strategies, the king decides to contact the hero guild. At the guild, everyone reads the request to rescue the princess who was taken by a demon lord, with the destination being Urgest. Because the area is a dangerous, monster-infested region, many heroes refuse to take the mission. They do not want to risk their lives for such a perilous assignment, and no hero steps forward. Burge also tells Gordon that the hero guild will not move, since most of them only care about money and will not willingly enter a hazardous place like the Urgest Mountains. That is exactly why Burge chose this location for his base. Gordon is surprised, realizing that Burge had considered all of this beforehand. Even though Burge does not usually follow formal rules, Gordon feels that Burge is surprisingly knowledgeable about Aryan, almost as if he has lived here before. The scene shifts back to the king, who becomes furious after hearing that no hero is willing to take the mission. In anger, he asks how they can even call themselves heroes. Despite the large number of heroes in Aryan, most care more about profit, making them extremely selective. Because of that, forming a reliable team will take time, and it will take even longer for them to reach the mountains. Meanwhile, Burge realizes that he does not have enough demonic energy to deal with an entire group of heroes. He understands this fear well because of experiences from his past life. After thinking it through, he orders Gordon to contact Draxon because he intends to sell demonic energy. Gordon instinctively agrees, but then becomes shocked as he realizes what Burge plans to do. Demonic energy is a treasured resource that allows demons to transcend their limits, unlock tower features, and summon monsters. The fact that Burge wants to exchange such a valuable resource for human money leaves Gordon stunned. Sitting on his throne, Burge says that he is certain Draxon will pay an enormous sum. Burge knows he cannot stop the heroes with the demonic energy he currently has, but with human money, there is something he can do. Later, near the Urgest Mountains, in the fortress city of Holton Work, Burge arrives wearing a cloak. However, the guards at the entrance notice him immediately and order him to stop. The guards ask Burge for his identity, so he claims to be a mercenary. However, the guards refuse to believe him, saying that no mercenary would be reckless enough to head into the Urgest Mountains alone. They are on the verge of declaring him suspicious, but the moment Burge hands them a gold coin, both guards immediately stop questioning him and allow him to pass. As Burge walks into the town, the guards chat excitedly among themselves about splitting the coin. After entering the town, Burge realizes he cannot navigate the area on his own, so he decides to look for a guide first. Meanwhile, at the Scarlet Hawk Mercenary Guild headquarters, several mercenaries, one of them asks the captain whether they should leave this place soon, but the captain smiles and explains that life here is comfortable. The soldiers deal with the monsters, and the mercenaries simply collect the spoils afterward. So, according to him, there's no better place to stay. Another mercenary asks if the captain hasn't heard the news that a new demon lord has built a tower in the Urgest Mountains. The captain dismisses it as fake news, saying that demon lords usually build their towers where heroes can easily reach them. A green-haired man comments that he also heard that the demon lord kidnapped the princess of Hilderin. The captain sighs deeply and asks if they have ever seen a demon lord travel all the way to the far end of the continent just to take a princess. A brown-haired man mentions the rumor that the hero guild refused to take the mission after hearing the destination. The captain responds that it is probably a tactic, since the princess is a valuable royal heir, and the guild is likely trying to negotiate for more money. He adds that the guild members are sharp and extremely greedy when it comes to profit. All the mercenaries agree and laugh, until a high-pitched voice suddenly speaks up behind the captain. Burge appears, saying that he understands what's going on. The captain jumps in fear and falls to the ground. The group of mercenaries immediately ask who Burge is, but he ignores their questions and instead comments that they seem very knowledgeable, making them perfect candidates to act as his guides. Burge clenches his fist and tells them to leave only one person behind and for everyone else to get out. The mercenaries grow angry and charge at Burge, claiming that since he infiltrated their guild, he won't leave alive. But the moment they rush forward, Burge defeats them effortlessly. A large man tries to attack with a wooden hammer, but Burge blocks it with ease. His glare alone terrifies the man. In the next moment, mercenaries from the first floor aim their guns at Burge, but he throws the fat man toward them, stopping their attack altogether. Witnessing this, the captain realizes that Burge is far beyond human. He seems like a monster. Burge continues giving them what he jokingly calls a special training session, which to the people outside simply sounds like another fight breaking out. After this rough training session, all the mercenaries are sprawled on the floor exhausted. Burge walks over to the captain, telling him not to be afraid, as he will spare him if he answers a few questions. The terrified captain bows and agrees to do anything as long as Burge lets him live. Burge asks for the location where he can get loyal servants. The captain takes him there, but Burge only sees ordinary human. Burge tosses a bag of gold at him and orders him to show something more rare. Shocked by the amount of money, the captain instantly changes his expression and leads the way. As they walk, Burge wonders how the man can switch expressions so quickly after watching all his subordinates get beaten. Burge realizes that humans who desire money and demons who desire demonic energy are essentially the same. They descend into the underground area, where the black-haired mercenary guides him. Now, he finally spots an elf, a race known for its loyalty and integrity. Burge believes the elf will be the ideal choice. His plan is to use the elf as a spy to stir confusion among the heroes. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Hilderin, the hero Hillencargill appears before the king. The king remarks that he knew Hillen would apply for this mission. Hillen proudly replies that he will rescue the princess and taken down the demon lord in the name of justice. Burge believes that using the elf as a spy to confuse the heroes will be extremely effective, since elves are known for their innocent and trustworthy nature. The merchant approaches and asks Burge what he is looking for. Burge replies that he is looking for an elf, then points at the captain and says the captain will be taking care for it. The black-haired captain is shocked, and Burge notices his expression, asking if he has any objections. Terrified, the captain quickly hands the money to the merchant, admitting that he has no choice but to pay. Burge then instructs everyone to leave because he needs to confirm something. The merchants warn him that the elf may become aggressive, but Burge calmly replies that it's fine, and if anything happens, the black-haired man who accompanied him will take responsibility. Hearing this, the captain clicks his tongue in frustration as he leaves. Once they are gone, Burge enters the cage and begins unbuckling the elf, remarking that such a noble species has been staying in such bad conditions. The elf notices the magic Burge uses to break the chains and immediately recognizes him as a demon. The elf asks what business a demon could possibly have with an elf named Granada. Burge answers that he is offering Granada a chance to take revenge on the humans who wronged him. Granada admits that the offer is tempting, but says he cannot trust demons any more than he trusts humans. Burge coldly replies that he is different, and if Granada stays loyal to him for exactly 50 years, Burge will guarantee his safety and freedom. For an elf, 50 years is not a long time, and it is still far better than suffering humiliation like this. However, Granada argues that demons are enemies of the world tree, the sacred being elves serve, and that demons seek to destroy both the tree and the world it sustains. Because of this, he cannot trust Burge. Granada also points out that it is strange for a demon to request help from an elf in the first place. Burge realizes Granada's words hit right where it hurts. So Burge smiles and decides to settle it properly. He vows, according to the standards of the great demon king, that he will fulfill his promise and will not harm the world tree. Granada is stunned, knowing that the demon king's standards are to demons what the world tree is to elves. Burge continues, saying that in return, he wants Granada to vow upon the world tree that he will pledge allegiance to Burge for the next 50 years. Granada smiles, calling Burge a strange demon, but since Burge is willing to go that far, he introduces himself as Granada of the Maple tribe. Granada then states that he will make the vow only after meeting the demon king who supposedly sent Burge. Burge smiles and reveals that he is the demon king. Granada bursts into loud laughter, not believing it for a second. He says that demon kings grow weaker the farther they move from their towers, so there is no way a demon king would come all the way here. Granada adds that if Burge truly is a demon king, he will pledge his loyalty for a full 100 years instead of 50. Granada's laughter quickly fades when they arrive at Burge's tower. Seeing Burge seated on the throne, Granada is stunned as Burge reminds him that the promise of a 100-year contract came from Granada's own words, not Burge's. Shocked, Granada shouts in disbelief, realizing Burge really is a demon king. Granada then complains that this is unfair, insisting that Burge never told him the tower would be this empty. Up to the 3rd floor, there is nothing at all, and the 4th floor contains nothing but natural scenery. Granada yells in frustration, asking what kind of sloppy tower this is, one that doesn't even have a single monster guarding it. At this rate, Granada believes Burge won't last a year, as the heroes will overwhelm him long before that. Granada expresses that he doesn't want to work in a place like this. Hearing those complaints, Burge releases a powerful aura and asks if Granada has forgotten about the contract. The intense wave of demonic energy shocks Granada, making him realize that Burge truly is a demon king. Granada reflects that although Burge's tower seems sloppy, not a single monster from the disaster-level Urgest Mountains dared to attack them on the way. Even those monstrous beings would not risk provoking a demon king. Granada then thinks that perhaps he really can get his revenge. Bowing deeply, he vows in the name of the great world tree that from this moment on, his loyalty belongs to Burge for the next 100 years. After making the vow, Granada feels certain that since the demon king himself came to acquire him, Burge must have an important role planned for him. Granada thought he would finally get his vengeance as part of some grand plan, but instead of plotting or explaining anything, Burge simply ordered him to prepare a meal. Granada's mind went blank, confused by the mundane task, yet he began cooking, thinking he was supposed to be involved in something important. While preparing the meal, Ernan noticed his efforts and decided to help. She asked if she could make some vegetable bread, and together, they finished preparing dinner. They sat down on the 5th floor of Burge's tower to eat. While at the table, Granada, still confused, asked about Ernan. Burge confirmed that she was indeed Ernan Hilderin. Granada, now extremely nervous, shouted at Burge, asking if he was out of his mind for kidnapping the crown princess, especially since the tower had nothing in it. He questioned how Burge planned to stop the heroes when they inevitably arrived. Burge calmly replied that this was why he had brought Granada and ordered him to sit and eat. Granada fell silent, still confused, and Burge complimented his cooking. Ernan smiled, noting that Granada clearly had no idea what was going on. After dinner, Burge and Granada moved to the 4th floor. Granada asked if Burge wanted him to fight the heroes there, but Burge denied it, explaining that if the heroes had made it that far, it would already mean game over. They must have successfully traversed the Urgest Mountains. Burge then informed Granada that he would be disrupting the human world on Burge's behalf. Confused, Granada asked if he was being asked to act as a spy. Burge confirmed this, but said he first needed to test Granada's abilities with a match. Granada protested, asking how he could possibly fight a demon king inside his tower. Burge reassured him that he would use only one hand and no demonic energy, and added that if Granada won, Burge would reduce the contract's duration by 50 years. Motivated, Granada accepted the challenge and warned Burge to keep his word. He declared that he would give his all. Granada charged at Burge, but Burge effortlessly blocked every attack while commenting that, despite Granada's long years, his movements remained precise. Burge asked if Granada had absorbed mana on the 4th floor to enhance his physical abilities, a fitting technique for an elf. While attacking, Granada taunted Burge, claiming that Burge had underestimated the wrong opponent in the wrong place. Using tree magic, Granada grabbed Burge's foot and launched another attack, declaring that he would reclaim his 50 years. Burge smirked and warned Granada not to forget who his opponent was. He assured Granada that he was controlling his strength carefully and would not kill him. Granada, shocked by Burge's overwhelming power, begged him to wait, but Burge did not listen. Granada's voice echoed throughout the tower. Meanwhile, at the Red Hawk mercenary headquarters in Horton Walk, the captain, with gleaming, money-loving eyes, saluted Burge and said it was an honor to see him again. Burge said he wanted to hire the captain for a year. The captain immediately agreed and asked for Burge's budget. His underlings murmured among themselves, complaining that their captain shouldn't be flattering someone who had just beaten them so thoroughly. They even considered looking for another job. Burge then threw a large bag of gold coins, declaring it the deposit. Seeing this, the underlings immediately swore loyalty to their captain for life. acknowledging that loyalty was what made them true mercenaries. The captain, confused, thanked them while considering whether he needed a new squad. Burge instructed him to include Granada in the team, as Granada would now relay Burge's orders. The captain agreed immediately, though one underling hesitated, worried about adding a stranger. That doubt vanished, however, when they saw Granada greet them warmly. Overcome with emotion, the mercenaries hugged Granada. Burge observed them thoughtfully, recognizing that while they might appear ordinary, these were experienced mercenaries of the Urgest Mountains, rare to find anywhere else, and easy to manage. The only hero likely to respond to Hildirin's call at this time of year was Hillen, the hero who had defeated the Demon King. Burge assigned the Red Hawk mercenaries their first mission, to investigate the hero Hillen, employed by Hildirin. They accepted the orders without hesitation. After that, Burge returned to the tower. Now that he had left the hero matters to Granada, it was his turn to get stronger. Demonic energy points could be used to enhance either the tower or the Demon King himself. Since Burge had sold all his points, the only way for him to increase his power was to use the Spirit Blossom, a crystal of mana that absorbs the energy of nature and, once consumed, grants an immense boost in strength. In the Urgest Mountains, where harsh storms and powerful monsters roamed, nature remained nearly untouched by humanity. As a result, Spirit Blossoms had spent years absorbing natural mana, refining their energy. Though not as potent as demonic energy for demons, they were still invaluable. Burge stood and informed Gordon that he intended to search for Spirit Blossoms. Gordon cautioned him that it would be risky without preparation, as finding a Spirit Blossom was like searching for a needle in a desert. Monsters, like beasts, would attack at the first opportunity. Burge replied that while he could handle any monsters, locating the Spirit Blossoms would indeed be difficult, as Gordon had said. Gordon agreed, adding that it would be much easier with an excellent mana detector. At that moment, Ernan knocked and entered the room, asking if they were busy. Seeing her, both Burge and Gordon realized it might be possible to use her abilities. They decided to proceed, and Burge took Ernan outside the tower with him. She jumped with excitement, thrilled to be out since boredom had been building. Ernan reminded Burge to keep his promise of letting her decorate the 4th floor as she wished. Burge agreed, stipulating that she could decorate as long as she helped find the Spirit Blossoms. He thought to himself that she had already decorated it to her taste, and wondered how far she would take it. But the mere idea of a princess decorating a Demon King's tower was already extraordinary. Ernan was overjoyed to be outside, as she had not expected to leave the tower. While she was thinking this, Burge grabbed her by the shoulder, making her open her eyes, and then lifted her into the air. She nervously protested that she wasn't ready, but Burge ignored her, flying upward while she shouted. Opening her eyes, she finally saw the vast world around her. She reflected on her repetitive life, magic training, studying, rulership duties, endless training and study, and realized she had thought this would continue until her death. Ernan asked Burge if he realized that she might now be the only person to have ever flown over the Urgest Mountains. Burge replied that he didn't care and began explaining what a princess had to do. Ernan interrupted, asking him to call her Ernan, since they would be spending some time together. Burge paused, realizing he may have allowed her too much freedom. Grabbing her hands to keep her in check, he warned her not to forget her place and asked if she wanted to be sent to the underground prison. Immediately apologizing, Ernan then agreed to help, using her spirit to locate the Spirit Blossoms. Burge thought they might not find them quickly, but he was certain that Ernan would be faster than either Gordon or himself. Moments later, Ernan informed them that she had located the Spirit Blossoms, astonishing Burge. As they approached the location, they discovered that some guests had arrived before them. Standing on a cliff, Burge asserted his presence as the Demon King, commanding them to obey his orders if they still had any honor left. Reminding them that monsters were descendants of demons from the demon realm, Burge ordered them not to touch the Spirit Blossoms and to leave the area immediately. However, the monsters refused to obey the Demon King, as they never listened to demons and harbored a natural disdain for them. Their defiance caused Burge to grow furious, laughing as he admitted that Gordon had been right. Demonstrating his overwhelming demonic power, Burge remarked that it was foolish to expect beasts to think rationally. Resolving to end the matter decisively, the monsters, determined to protect their territory and eliminate Burge, charged at him. In response, Burge used his mana to summon a dragon, which attacked the monsters. Seeing themselves losing, the monsters focused on the weakest target, charging toward Ernan. Without even looking, Burge sent another mana dragon to intercept them, leaving Ernan astonished. She realized that even the Pearl Orcs, known for taking down ogres when coordinated, could not come close. In that moment, she fully grasped the magnitude of the Demon Lord's power. Night fell, and all the monsters were defeated. Ernan eagerly approached the Spirit Blossom, marveling at its pure mana. The flower was a hyacinth, imbued with water and ice attributes. Burge instructed Ernan not to convert it and personally picked the Spirit Blossom, telling her that if she found more, she could keep one. Excited, Ernan began searching for additional blossoms, prompting Burge to reflect that humans only cheer up when offered small rewards. Unfortunately, despite her efforts until exhaustion, they found no second patch of blossoms. Returning to the tower, Burge observed the Spirit Blossom and considered that, at first, he had thought abducting Ernan was a mistake, but she might prove far more useful than he initially imagined. Ernan then slept soundly on the 4th floor. Burge returned to his throne, where Gordon informed him that he had just received a message from Granada. Burge commented on the speed of the communication. Gordon added that the hero Hillen, along with 32 other heroes, had departed from the capital of Hilderin. They were not heading straight to Urgist, but were taking the traditional hero's path, forming a party and growing stronger by completing villagers' quests. Gordon then displayed the system panel, showing that he had prepared several plans for the hero's journey and requested Burge's review. Burge dismissed all the files, shocking Gordon, and announced that this time they would not send any monsters or interruptions. Half-hearted attempts would only make the hero stronger. Instead, Burge instructed Gordon to have Granada accompany the heroes with the mercenaries, helping them and building their trust. Gordon acknowledged that it was typical of Burge to ignore conventional standards, but he argued that the heroes could not be stopped with the current tower. Burge smiled reassuringly, promising to reinforce the tower with a dwarf. Gordon was stunned at the idea of including a dwarf alongside a human and a high elf, concerned that anyone who saw the diminutive species would ridicule them. Burge displayed his demonic power, calming Gordon, and clarified that the dwarf was not meant to stop the heroes alone. Rather, dwarven magical tools would give them an edge. He explained that heroes, accustomed to the Demon King's usual standards, would enter the tower expecting weak monsters. Gordon realized the heroes would be unprepared, though he still worried that this strategy might exceed conventional limits. Before he could voice his concern, Burge had already departed. He arrived at Wolfner, the dwarven underground city, where the master blacksmith Lozier Friedrich was diligently working on a weapon.